I made up my mind.
An explosion that damaged a Polish railway track on a route to Ukraine was called an unprecedented act of sabotage by Prime Minister Donald Tusk, as he vowed to catch those responsible for an incident he said could have ended in tragedy. At least 40 artisanal miners have died in the southeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo after a makeshift bridge collapsed at a mining site they were in. Chris Okamrinja has more from Kinshasa.
Authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo say the miners died after heavy rains damaged a makeshift bridge at the Molondo mining site in Lualaba province. At least 40 people have been reported dead, but an association of artisanal miners says the death toll has risen to 100. They accuse Congolese soldiers of firing at the miners who were digging in a prohibited area. The miners are reported to have fled the gunshots across the makeshift bridge, which collapsed under their weight. Deadly accidents are common among small-scale miners in the DRC. Most of them work with rudimentary tools without protective gear.
Is Dariana, we call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Out here in the middle of all these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth. And sometimes that's how it feels when you're going through tough times. Trouble sleeping, your mind racing. So what do? We get help. There are people in our community who are here for us. Sometimes just talking to someone can make all the difference in the world. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
What brings to you Bullseye. Presented by hit the bullseye every time it's a go. Real talk. You don't get this on national shows. He hit the target every time he aiming. He got the bullseye flaming. He take you through the motor city. Ain't you glad you came to coach the thing where sports meet swagger? They both got the insider breakdowns. It don't matter because he cut through the chapter. His Detroit attitude is shattered. Any doubt you got about him, you know the manager's at his raw. Sports talk for now. His sports rap network is coming. It's getting hot. No running because I'm so knock. I'm done and we all we got.
Ton of things you could take from this game this week. For one, you have to immediately tip your cap to Kevin Shepard and the defense. That is a potentially potent Philadelphia offense, and they were able to hold them to one of their lowest outputs of the season. They only gave up 16 points.
And let's remember, not only did they give up 16 points, 3 of those points were off a turnover. And I think another touchdown was because the Lions gave them excellent field position, like at the 40-something yard line. So, I mean, considering the Lions defense yesterday, as far as I'm concerned, were outstanding. They were absolutely outstanding, Jack.
Yeah. Lions only gave up 272 yards, 16 points. Most of the time, you win those games in the NFL. I mean, the Lions also outgained the Eagles in total. They were about the same efficiency on third down, but the issue was the fourth downs. The Lions turned it over 5 times on downs, and it led directly to one, you said 3 points, which just totally sapped their momentum. Now, if Mark were here, he would have a lot to say, especially after last week where he said how Dan Campbell was the man and this and that and blah, 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 blah. But the one thing you have to take away from this game is you have to appreciate what got you here, right? Dan Campbell going for it and gambling is what got you in this position. Right?
Yep.
And it didn't work out this week, and he went for it a lot, but you kind of have to live with it. You can't have this be your, I'm vindicated, I was right. He goes for it too much on fourth down, we're doomed, blah, 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 because that just, throws out all the other times to get you where you are. But it's also fair to be really, 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 really frustrated, especially when you could have just taken the points. A lot of times, I think that is when you start to question the aggression of the moves. What do you think?
You know what, Jack? It feels like an out-of-body experience when it comes to Mark Jones. Remember that Disney movie Freaky Tuesday? You know, where like your body feels like it's in somebody else's, man. I feel like I'm in Mark Jones's body right now, man. Look, I will say this, and Dan is my man. Dan the gambler, man. But you know what? Here's the thing that Dan should have realized, and he should have been able to realize this after the first quarter. When he went for it on their first drive and they didn't get it, I'm okay with that. By the end of the first quarter, it was going to be pretty evident that the scarcity of points, they were going to be tough to come by on either side of the field, correct?
Yep.
J-Lo, you got to stay out the Coney Islands, whatever you're doing recreationally, whether it's meth or coke or whatever, man. Yeah, don't try to make love to the goalposts, man, and then give the guy another another 15 yards.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he didn't make the field goal.
Yeah.
You left a point out there. Man, typically, you know what? You don't even scream, well, a point. It's the NFL. Lions have a high-octane offense. Not yesterday, young man. You got to think. You got to pull your head out your ass. And that's exactly what he didn't do once again. And I understand sometimes J-Mo is a phenomenal talent. But you know what? It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz and the Tin Man if you only had a brain, okay? The other part about it is, Dan Campbell, man, look, live to fight another day. Live to fight another day. Punt the ball, man. You didn't have to go for it. You know what? Your defense probably played, as far as I'm concerned, its best game of the year. They gave up 16 points, and they played the best game of the year. Look, as you already stated, Jack, they were able to drive the ball at times. You could have kicked field goals. If you got yourself within the 30-yard line, you could have kicked field goals. You left 7 points on the field. You know what that means, Dan? The game would have been a tie. More than likely, you know what? Both teams become a little bit more conservative at that point. I don't necessarily have an issue. Look, there are a multitude of things. You see the fact that the Lions' offensive line, specifically guard, center, guard, it ain't very good, all right?
Especially when Rabbit was out.
Absolutely. Once Ragnar was out, there's no question. And Stevie Wonder saw that yesterday. They can't block. Now, look, here's to the credit of the Detroit Lions fans and all those people who wanted to take Carter out of Georgia, right? The other defensive tackle, Jack, who's leading my mind right now. They remind me of like when you're in high school and the freshmen have to scrimmage with the varsity, right? So you got guys who are 3 years older, 20 or 30 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
What they did to Glasgow yesterday,
Yeah.
they made him look like a puppy dog, man.
Yeah.
They blew Graham Glasgow up.
Yeah.
I
He
think the
hasn't
other
looked like that since high school.
No. I think the other part that you have to look at the game, not just the X's and O's that happen out there on the field, but systemically, what you also have to look and say, Holmes, what are you going to do? Because you know what? I'm sorry. Howie, the Philadelphia Eagles, is the best general manager in the NFL. He might be the best general manager in all of sport.
He's up there. And you know what's funny? His strategy isn't even really that special. It's just take the really good dudes, right? Like, he's not overthinking a lot of these picks. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to pick the dudes from Bama and Georgia. Now, I want to see how that goes going forward. It'll probably be, Georgia and Oregon or whatever, but still.
No, you know what, Jack? Let me ask you a question. I'm 6'5". I'm 340 pounds,
Mhm.
and I run a 4.8 40.
Right.
As a defensive tackle, what kind of brains does it take to take that guy?
I mean, I would have taken him.
Hey, I understand, you know what? Get in an accident, somebody dying, you know what? Not cool at all. But you know what, though? There's a lot of people who could have suffered from that mistake, and that doesn't make him a bad guy. You know what? Maybe childish, maybe immature.
Certainly.
Obviously, the earlier incident they had a year as far as spitting on Dak, yeah, that makes him really childish. But my God, he is an incredible.
And if you trust your culture like you claim to do, then yeah, you should have no problem with bringing in someone that talented, knowing that he's not necessarily a bad person. He just is, like you said, immature, needs some guidance, needs a strong locker room around him, which you purport to have. Should have been a no-brainer. I mean, it may end up working out in both the Lions and Eagles' favor. It has already worked out in Eagles' favor in the form of a Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
But where do you see this team going from here? If you weren't necessarily expecting to win this game anyway, does this really change things? Now, what does change is you're now third in the division behind both Chicago and Green Bay. You have a game against each remaining. What you thinking?
You know what, Jack? It kind of reminds me of the old NFL films thing and Iron Edwards. They are. We thought they are.
Denny Green.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Denny Green. Yeah, they are what we thought they are, right? You look at this Detroit Lions team after 10 games with 7 more games left on their schedule. They are an incredibly impactful offensive group of players who are now down what seems to be a major target in Laporte as their tight end.
Right.
They are a riddled offensive line. They only have dominance on the one position on the offensive line. And after that, I would dare say all 4 other positions. Well, I take that back. I think the rookie out of Arkansas is probably considered to be an average NFL guard at this point.
Okay.
Everybody else is below average, including Decker. So what I'm most concerned about is how does this team all of a sudden get an identity that they can't have?
You're listening to Bullseye Sports, presented by Dabo on Sports Rap Network. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Out here in the middle of all these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth. And sometimes that's how it feels when you're going through tough times. Trouble sleeping, your mind racing. So what do? We get help. There are people in our community who are here for us. Sometimes just talking to someone can make all the difference in the world. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Give me a high five.
Brothers who are brothers.
Dog, who wrote this corn, man?
Yo, listen, Two Live Stews are back in the D. Pause. No catchphrases needed.
Monday and Thursdays at 10 a.m. on WGPR HD2. Simple enough.
We all we got.
It's time for the wake-up call, y'all. Come on. Yo, it's time. He's on the line. This is knowledge and power for every mankind. For every generation that's in these streets, we making sure you ain't walking in your sleep. We're in your town, your city, and community, promoting good health, wealth, and unity.
Listen to the Wake Up Call with Reverend Horace Sheffield Saturdays at 8 a.m. on WGPR 107.5 HD2 and on the Sports Rap mobile.
Imagine home, the smell of coffee, the sound of a lawnmower, the sun's warmth on your face, free to be yourself, surrounded by love that helps you grow. This is a place to call home. That's an American dream we all deserve. But in 50% of U.S. states, you could legally be denied housing if you are LGBTQ+. Get the facts and hear real stories at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Check out the Bullseye Sports Squad presented by Dabo, Wardell, Walker, Jones, and Barthwell. On point and on the grind with Lions, Tigers, Pistons, and all things sports. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 7 p.m. on the Sports Rap Network. WGPR 107.5 HD2 Detroit. All we got.
We're glad you stayed. Now back to the home team. Bullseye Sports presented by Dabo on the Sports Rap.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Detroit Bullseye Sports. Dabo presents Detroit Bullseye Sports here on 107.5 HD2 WGPR, Sports Rap Network. You can hear us on the Sports Rap app, as well as sportsrapnet.com. I'm here with Reggie. I'm Jack. Reggie, let's talk a little NFL. You got a little NFL rundown for us?
Yeah, but you know what? Before we get back to a little bit of Lions talk, let's talk about the going-ons around the league. Man, we got to get our theme music back in there. I kind of miss that in the background.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start off with question number 1. It seems as if spitting is more than just a misdemeanor these days, especially when it can cost you a paycheck. Ask Jamar Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals after his altercation with Steeler Jalen Ramsey led to him spitting on the Bengal defensive back. The NFL quickly let the perennial Pro Bowler know the cost of such aggressions, well, $507,156. We had to ask ourselves, was the penalty just for a player who has never had any off the field incidents justified?
Yeah, man, you can't spit on people. It's unfortunate for the Steelers that it was not caught during the game, and so Jalen Ramsey was the only one to get ejected. But yeah, man, you can't spit on people. And Jalen Carter, as we spoke about previous segment, he would have been suspended by the league for a game had he not been ejected so early in the contest he played in. Yeah, man, you can't be spitting on people. That's crazy. And I don't know why it's back. I don't know why spitting on people has made this ugly resurgence. Stop spitting on people.
I would like to think that Jamar Chase accidentally put his tongue in the perfect spot in his mouth, and you know how sometimes you'll get a saliva spray that you spit. But that wasn't the case, man, because that was a big old haunting humor right there. Yeah. Look, I think I'd rather somebody start a physical altercation first before you spit on me, man.
For sure. Because we finna have one.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, spitting on somebody is one of the most vile things that you can end up doing, as far as I'm concerned. Wow. And I think, you know what? It's not like the NFL hasn't warned people previously, right?
Yeah, there's definitely a precedent for this.
It happened in the beginning of the year, right? With Carter.
Mm-hmm.
He took a game suspension, and unfortunately, Jamar, $1, man, is an awfully expensive way to learn a lesson.
Hey, man, that's crazy that you get a check every week for $500,000. That's the other thing that's crazy about that whole scenario.
You know, the sad part about it is it probably... I'm sorry, Jamar. I'm sure you probably have a great financial advisor and you do something.
No, he actually looks like he doing all right.
Yeah, them Cheerios commercials or whatever he's doing these days.
Jamar the man, we cannot be spitting on people. You come down a peg or two on the man rankings when you start spitting on people.
Only if you know what I mean, in perhaps in the comic book world or science fiction or something may see on TV, I can justify it, but that's fiction, though. It's not fact. Well, all right. Question number 2. The much lauded 5th-round draft pick, Shedeur Sanders, made his NFL debut in a less than spectacular fashion. Shedeur, after relaying the injured quarterback Dylan Gabriel, went 4 for 16 with an amazing 40s. With a less than auspicious start, the Sanders deserve a further look by the Cleveland Browns, or has this ship already passed?
Okay, so if you look at the box score only, you didn't see the game, you'll sit there and go, yeah, of course. Everything I thought I knew about Shedeur Sanders is correct. He's awful, blah, blah, blah. Get him out of here. He's a bum, blah, blah, blah. If you watch the game, which I was able to do, shout out YouTube TV and the multi-view. But if you watch the actual game and you watch the throws he was attempting, you watch the rhythm and style of the offense, Shedeur was in there slinging it a little bit. Now, he did take a couple ugly sacks, and the interception he threw, yes, he got blown up, but he got blown up after he threw that bad ball. But there were at least 3 drops involved in those 12 incompletions. And then the last 3 or 4 throws were shots at the end zone, but they were good throws. 1 was a drop, 1 was a pass breakup, and 2 were just, kind of off target. I think there was a little something there. It wasn't great by any stretch of imagination. It wasn't good by any stretch of imagination, but there were definitely some good moments and some good throws, and there's stuff to work with.
Is there enough of Shedeur Sanders where the Cleveland Browns don't have to take a quarterback in the first round next year?
No, I ain't say all that, but he can play, and they don't have to rush Dylan Gabriel back for any rhyme or reason. They can let Shedeur take snaps with the ones, which apparently he has not done a single time in his time with the Browns, which I think is fireable offense, to be honest. Yeah, I think we need to dive into that just a tiny bit more. Kevin Stefanski was asked how many reps, Shedeur's taking with the ones, and he said none. He hasn't taken any reps with the ones ever. And I think that's insane since he's been the backup for basically the last, 5 weeks since they traded Flacco. I don't understand how he's taken 0 snaps with the ones. If Stefanski didn't want to take him and DePodesta and then force it down his throat, then he should say that and we can be done with this nonsense, experiment. But I don't understand what we're doing here. Why he's kneecapping this kid, when he's in charge, when he's basically in charge of whether or not he has a job next season. Unless he knows, hey man, if I get down to having to play Shadur, them games don't count, and I get to come back next year. Other than that, I don't know what's really going on with that.
You know what, Jack? I would be foolish to state that racism still doesn't exist in the ranks of the NFL, right? In Shador's case, however, I think it's less an issue of race,
Sure.
and more an issue of class. And I think the stuff that Dion came into this league back in 1988, 89, it's what guys like him can do. Defensive backs, wide receivers, they could come in with all the bluster, they could come in with all the cockiness, right? Because it's that position. Quarterback position, however, you can be cocky, but it's still got to be a certain solemnity to it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's got to be a certain control. Shador seems like a guy that, as he came into the league, he was all about Shador, whether that's true or not. I mean, it seems like for everything we hear, he's a great teammate, right?
Yep.
I think the Cleveland Browns as an organization, I just said, look, we've learned our lessons. We don't want that anymore. And I think, you know what? I think Shador, he'll catch on with somebody else. But I think he's always going to have the same type of issue that he's facing right now. He's going to be a practice squad player. You know what? He'll hang around for a couple of teams every other year, that type of thing, until basically he never started. He doesn't have the utility in the league for us anymore, and he kind of vexes his way. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, you know what? I'm not going to make this a clown show next year. I'm going to let Shador go wherever he needs to go to get the best chance for him to start.
Yeah, I mean, and they still have, I think the freaky bad man from Houston still has another year of rehab or so since he had that setback. So they're going to be looking for a quarterback anyway. It's unfortunate for them that they'll have to pay another quarterback, but that's kind of their fault. And I'm not really going to have too much sympathy for it. But yeah, I think that the Browns have done a disservice to themselves by not giving him a chance and not getting him ready, because the defense has obviously been good enough to win games or keep them in most games, but they have not had the quarterback play to take advantage of said defense. And, Shadur's no bum. I mean, no one's ever said he wasn't any good. I mean, you'll never do what he did at Jackson State or at Colorado if you're a bum, but he needs a certain structure around him, coaching up and some hands-on, training and work. And I think that Stefanski done himself a disservice, let alone the player, and thus has done his team a disservice, which to my mind would make it time for him to go. But I don't think we are in charge of that.
You're listening to Wardell, Walker, Barthwell, and our Cobra Commander, Mark Jones, on Bullseye Sports, presented by Dabo. Back after these commercial messages.
This is This Day in Sports History on your sports rap network, WGPR 107.5 HD2 in Detroit. Let's take a soulful stroll back through the sports streets, where every November 17th reminds us of the legacy and resilience that keeps us pushing forward. On this day in 1968, the great Bill Russell, player-coach of the Boston Celtics, led his squad to a hard-fought victory over the Detroit Pistons right here in the Motor City. Russell wasn't just dominating the paint, he was making history as the NBA's first black head coach. Every time he stepped on the sidelines, Russell was breaking barriers and showing the world what leadership looks like both on and off the court. That legacy still echoes today, inspiring young athletes in Detroit and beyond who dream of running the show their own way. Fast forward to 1991, and November 17th brought us one of the NFL's most electrifying moments. Barry Sanders, Detroit's own, put on a show at the Silverdome with his signature stop-and-go moves. That day, Barry racked up over 150 rushing yards, reminding fans why he's one of the greatest to ever do it in the backfield. Sanders didn't just carry the ball, he carried hope for a city hungry for greatness, all while staying humble and letting his play do the talking. November 17th also marks a special moment in baseball history. In 1971, the Pittsburgh Pirates' Roberto Clemente was named the National League MVP. While Clemente wasn't born here, his legacy of breaking down barriers and lifting up his community resonates with Detroit's own story, a story of resilience, pride, and never backing down. So as we move through this Monday, remember every day athletes who look like us have been carving their names in the record books, knocking down doors, and paving the way for the next generation. We got in these sports streets, and that's more than enough to keep making history. This has been This Day in Sports History on the Sports Rap Network, WGPR 107.5 HD2 in Detroit. Stay tuned. More of that real sports conversation is coming up next.
You're listening to the Sports Rap Network on WGPR HD2, home of sports, old school rap, and the two live studios.
We all we got.
Sports talk with hot sauce, shawty.
I cannot believe Kirby Smart acted the way he acted on national TV in front of the entire world.
You're listening to Sports Rap Network on WGPR 107.5 HD2 Detroit.
This right here, the legendary light beer, the originator, the inventor. If this can could talk, and it tells stories about that one time, that night, that one guy, that one gal, writing a story 50 years long and 50 million friends wide. Legendary stories. Start with a light. Here's the 50 years of Miller time.
Something special is headed to the Savoy.
It's Lobster Fest. For a limited time, dive into 8 amazing lobster dishes at prices you won't believe. Enjoy rich lobster pasta, our famous lobster and shrimp pot pie, a sweet, succulent whole lobster, classic grilled lobster, and so much more. Whether you're treating yourself or making it a night out, Lobster Fest at the Savoy is the treat you deserve.
Get reservations at SavoyDetroit.com.
Sports Shop Radio for original insight, opinions, and expert analysis without exaggeration, hesitation, or hateration. Chop it up with Sports Talk OGs Errol Reese, K-Mac, and the lovely Pam Smith at 4 p.m. Eastern every weekday. And get your head together at the shop, the Sports Shop on Sports Rap Network.
We all we got.
We're glad you stayed. Now back to the home team. Bullseye Sports presented by Dabo on the Sports Rap.
It's Detroit Bullseye Sports here on 107.5 HD2. WGPR, the Sports Rap Network. You can hear us on the Sports Rap app, or you can check us out on sportsrapnet.com. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know we've had a couple of technical difficulties, but we appreciate you sticking with us. Reggie, we were talking NFL rundown. Let's re-rack that and start it up again.
Let's do it, Jack. All right, we'll start off with question number 1. It seems as if spitting is more than just some misdemeanor these days, especially when it costs you, well, paycheck. As Jamar Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals, after his altercation with stealing Jalen Ramsey, led to him spitting on the Bengal defensive back, the NFL quickly let the perennial Pro Bowler know the cost of such aggression. Well, it's $500,000. Was the penalty just for a player who has had no off-the-field incidents justified?
I mean, okay, when we talk about the penalty, it's a 1-game suspension. His paycheck is $500,000, which is wild, right?
It ended up being like $468,000 a game check.
Yeah,
and then I guess
there's a bonus.
There's a bonus in there that he had for that was like $50-something thousand. Yeah.
So him getting a check every week for $500,000 is crazy, right? But yeah, it's justified. Stop spitting on people. Like, I love Jamar Chase as a player. I think he's a cool dude. I think, all that, blah, 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 blah. But you come down a peg on the level of how much I appreciate you, or, peg or two, when you start spitting on people. Like, that's gross. And I think it was completely justified that Jalen Ramsey hit him in his face, because I would have done the same thing. You can't spit on people.
You know what I would have done, Jack? You know, them little girls they got on the sideline or giving you spray bottles and stuff like that. I would have grabbed one of them girls and said, baby, you got a towel on you? Then let me use your hand. Let me wipe that up right quick.
Right.
Some stuff came out of my mouth because you know what? I'm not giving $500,000 away on some BS. And that is absolute BS, which then tells you, what is the mindset of a guy, man, who says, you know what? Screw it. I'm so angry, I'm going to give you $500,000 for nothing. Not only do you give $500,000, you can't even direct it to where the money goes to. Come on, guys.
It's absolutely asinine. And I'm again, we talked about it in the previous segment with Jalen Carter. It's dumb. Like, and yeah, there's already been the precedent set as to what will happen to you if you spit on somebody. You'll get suspended, you'll get ejected and or suspended. Depending on when in the game it is. No, like we cannot continue. And it's been an epidemic. There's been just this rise in everywhere of people spitting on each other, or people spitting on people, and it leading to altercations. As it should. Don't spit on me. I'm gonna hit you in your face. Stop spitting on people.
You know what? The other part I don't understand is that not all, but a lot of those guys come from environments that if you just randomly were at the gas station or at a party store and you got in a verbal altercation and you decided just to spit on somebody, that would cost you your life.
Yeah.
What makes these guys think that because you're on a football field, you can get away with that?
Just because you got a helmet on, man. I don't know, man. It's insane to me. If somebody spit, no one has ever spit on me. If someone ever spit on me, it's immediately up. Like we are fighting. We are in a physical altercation. So, yeah, I think Jalen Ramsey was completely justified. And if he's disciplined any further, I would be upset.
Yeah, I would dare say that the NFL doesn't have the cojones to discipline Jalen Carter. And not Jalen Carter, but Jalen Ramsey on this one.
Yeah.
All right. Second question, Jack. The much lauded 5th-round draft pick, Shedeur Sanders, made his NFL debut in a less than spectacular fashion. Shedeur, after relieving injured quarterback Dylan Gabriel, went an amazing 4 for 16 for 47 yards. With a less than auspicious start, does Sanders deserve a further look by the Cleveland Browns, or has this ship already passed?
Okay, so if you only looked at the box score, right, and you saw 4 for 16, 25%, 47 yards, a pick, a couple sacks taken, you would rightly think to yourself, oh my God, I was right. Shedeur Sanders is awful. What are we doing? This is a waste of time, wasted draft pick, blah, blah, blah. But if you actually watch the game, as I was able to do, shout out YouTube TV for the multi-view, but you were actually able to see the throws he was attempting and what was happening in the rhythm of the offense. He looked good, right? His first play was a rollout to his right, was able to hit a receiver in stride, get a few yards, get some momentum going, right? But he also was able to take some shots to the middle and down the field. He was limited by drops by some of his receivers. Some of them were just flat out clean drops. He was able to actually move around in the pocket a little bit, not enough. That's part of his game that's definitely going to need some work, and he's also going to need some work on getting rid of the ball quicker. But he took some shots downfield, took some shots in the end zone. He looked serviceable out there. I would give him another shot. And I think what really needs to happen is he needs to get some time with the ones to get better. And it seems like, according to Kevin Stefanski, he has not been given a chance to play with the ones at all in practice. So, which I think is a fireable offense, to be honest. Your backup quarterback has 0 snaps with the starters. I think that's unconscionable and not a way you win games. But maybe I'm off base there.
Well, you know what, Jack? Quickly, I tend to think, what's the reward to risk ratio when you look at a guy like Shedeur Sanders? And when I look at Shedeur Sanders, I inevitably see a guy who I think, if he were Joe Schmo out of Iowa State or South Dakota, I think, when you keep your nose clean, you could be a perennial backup in this league for 5 to 10 years. And so I think Shedeur Sanders, in all reality, is. Shedeur Sanders, son of Deion Sanders. What's the logo stuff that he's got going on right now?
Prime?
No. Shedeur. I forgot the name. Yeah, but anyway, it just seems as if that's more important to him than the game of football. And as a result, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm like, you know what? Hey, Shador, you know what? We appreciate everything that you've done for the organization over the course of your last year. I'm out. Hey, we're going to give you every opportunity to make it, but it just won't be with the Cleveland Browns. We're whitewashing this entire thing next year.
Yeah.
You know, Dylan Gabriel, you know what? We got to pay, what's his name? A sex offender.
You're just completely out on the entire experiment.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Only because of the fact that I don't think it's the right place for Shador. You know what? And I think, you know what? Part of it is just the aspect of him being who he is and who his father was. But I also think that, you know what? He has to go into another organization who legitimately will give him the opportunity that I think he needs and wants. You know what? A good place for Shador Sanders would be
I was just going to ask, where's that?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
That's the type of organization that a Shador Sanders should be under.
Do you want him learning from Aaron Rodgers?
I want him to be under a strong head coach.
Sure.
First and foremost. And at this point, Aaron Rodgers is lucky and happy to be hanging out in the NFL right now. I mean, you know, let's be honest about it. Aaron Rodgers is probably somewhere between the 23rd and 17th best quarterback in the NFL these days.
That sounds about right.
Right? He's not the Aaron Rodgers of old with the Green Bay Packers for sure. But he's a good enough quarterback that he can be a placeholder until you draft a guy. And to be honest with you, once you draft a guy, I wouldn't mind having an Aaron Rodgers as that guy who could come in, you know what, teach him the right things to do.
In the Flacco role?
Absolutely. I think the unfortunate part about Flacco seems to be a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, right now.
You know.
Better mentor and teacher, too, at least according to everyone.
Jack, I don't have a prepared third question, but you know what? Let's throw this about. With all the permeations of the NFL that happened last night and yesterday afternoon, is there any doubt as to who's the best team in the NFC is?
Nah, man, it's definitely the Eagles. Even though they can't move the ball, score with any regularity right now, I think it's pretty obvious that the Eagles are the class of the NFL. The Rams certainly would like to talk to me about that statement, but the Eagles have pretty much only played NFC teams, and they're 7-1 in the conference. The Rams are 3-2 in the conference, so both of their losses coming in conference. I don't know. I think those two definitely have separated themselves. The Bears and Seahawks seem to operate on that next tier. Quietly, the Carolina Panthers are a half game behind Tampa in the South, and with Michael Penix being hurt and Drake London being hurt, I think the Falcons are now joining the Saints in tanking market.
Gotta feel bad for the Falcons, too, because you know what? If they do tank, guess who owns their number one draft pick?
Who does own their pick?
The LA Rams.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so right now, if the season were to end today, the Rams would be getting the Falcons' first-round draft pick, which would be a number 8 pick in the draft.
Rich get richer.
The richer, for the guy who don't give a damn about some picks, right?
Man, let's
you get high draft picks.
Yeah, let's out here operating.
Look, you know what? Some guys know how to ball and some guys don't. As we look at the AFC, it's hard to believe that the Buffaloes, the Kansas Cities,
right? Torch being passed, man. A lot of the Ravens passed this week.
Yeah. The Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots are the toes of the AFC.
Yep.
But you know what? It doesn't surprise me. And it doesn't surprise me because when you look at the organizations and when you look who they went to for leadership, they got two really sound coaches, right?
Yeah.
You know, Grable with New England has been nothing but a pillar of strength everywhere he's been. I mean, I think he did a fantastic job when he's down there with Tennessee, right?
Yep.
And now you get yourself a quarterback who some organizations have the good fortune of being able to replace a quarterback in a short period of time. And to me, a short period of time, if it only takes you 1 year to 5 years to find your next quarterback, legitimate franchise quarterback, you've actually done pretty well.
Yeah. Well, Reg, appreciate that. We got to get out here and pay some bills real quick here on Daybro Presents Detroit Bullseye Sports here on 107.5 HD2. WGPR Sports Rap Network.
You're listening to Wardell, Walker, Barthwell, and our Cobra Commander Mark Jones on Bullseye Sports presented by Dabo. Back after these commercial messages.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA, is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
If you had a slip and fall, better call Camper. You been bitten by a dog, better call Camper. Been in a truck accident, better call Camper. One of the best to represent, better call Camper. If you had a slip and fall, better call Camper. You been bitten by a dog, better call Camper. Been in a truck accident, you better call Camper. One of the best to represent, better call Camper. One of the best in the game for insurance claims. Wrongful death accidents, you feeling the pain. You don't know what to do, you feeling the blame. Know the name.
Out here in the middle of all these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth. And sometimes that's how it feels when you're going through tough times. Trouble sleeping, your mind racing. So what do? We get help. There are people in our community who are here for us. Sometimes just talking to someone can make all the difference in the world. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Oh, yeah. I'm with this. I'm just going to sit here laid back to this nice mellow beat, and drop some smooth lyrics. Because it's 88. Time to set it straight, you know what I'm saying? It ain't no half-stepping. Oh, I'm ready. Rapper stepping to me. They want to get some, but I'm the Kane, so you know the outcome. I'm not the victory. They can't get with me. So pick a BC date because you are history. I'm the authentic poet to get lyrical. It's gonna take a miracle. And stepping to me. Yo, that's a wrong move. So what you want, Hobbs? Dope a dog food. Fall against such a chihuahua. Because when it comes to being dope, any dramatic, Asiatic, not like many, possible in this pedigree. So when I roll on your rappers, ready, the snake by Gensu, wait until when you try to front so I can chop into your body. Just because you try to be basing. Friday the 13th, I'ma play Jason. No type of junk gag game, puzzle, or riddle. The name is Big Daddy, yes, big, not little, so define it. Here's your walking papers, sign it, and take a walk. As the Canes start to talk, cuz, and to sound like me so soon, I'll have to open a school of MCing for those who wanna be in my field in court. Then again, on second thought, the half-piece coming out sounding so similar. It's like confusing for you to remember the originator. And boy, do I hate a perpetrator. But I'm much greater. The best, so yes, I guess, suggest the rest should fest or mess or test your highness. Unless you just address with best finesse and bless them paragraphs, I manifest.
You're listening to WGPR HD2 Sports Rep Network.
From Belle Isle to Bankhead to Bangkok and Baghdad. And for World News.
Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kate Fisher. U.S. President Donald Trump now says he wants the Jeffrey Epstein files released. The U.S. president has changed his stance and wants Republicans to vote in favor of releasing them, saying that his party has nothing to hide. It could force the Justice Department to release all files about the late sex offender. Donald Trump's name has been referenced in some files already made public, but in a frosty exchange with reporters before he boarded Air Force One, he claims that's not important.
Fake news like you're a terrible reporter, and fake news like you, they just keep bringing that up to deflect from the tremendous success of the Trump administration. So they're using Jeffrey Epstein as a deflection.
U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested he is open to talks with Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, who's facing pressure from the White House as his country witnesses a large military buildup in the region. Our U.S. correspondent Mitch McCann reports.
Time for World News.
Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Kate Fisher. U.S. President Donald Trump now says he wants the Jeffrey Epstein files released. The U.S. president has changed his stance and wants Republicans to vote in favor of releasing them, saying that his party has nothing to hide. It could force the Justice Department to release all files about the late sex offender. Donald Trump's name has been referenced in some files already made public, but in a frosty exchange with reporters before he boarded Air Force One, he claims that's not important.
Well, I don't want to talk about it because fake news like you're a terrible reporter, and fake news like you, they just keep bringing that up to deflect from the tremendous success of the Trump administration. So they're using Jeffrey Epstein as a deflection.
US President Donald Trump has suggested he is open to talks with Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, who's facing pressure from the White House as his country witnesses a large military buildup in the region. Our US correspondent Mitch McCann reports.
Traveling back to Washington after a weekend in Florida, the US president spoke about increased tensions between the US and Venezuela and told reporters we may be having some discussions with Maduro and we'll see how that turns out. He added they would like to talk. The US has moved its largest aircraft carrier into the Caribbean, and Reuters reports it has 5,000 military personnel and dozens of warplanes on board. Maduro is wanted by the US, which has accused him of ties to the illegal drug trade, allegations that he denies. While America's goals or plans in the region are unclear, Mr. Trump, when asked what action the US may be set to take, said he has sort of made up my mind.
An explosion that damaged a Polish railway track on a route to Ukraine was called an unprecedented act of sabotage by Prime Minister Donald Tusk, as he vowed to catch those responsible for an incident he said could have ended in tragedy. At least 40 artisanal miners have died in the southeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo after a makeshift bridge collapsed at a mining site they were in. Chris Okamrinja has more from Kinshasa.
Authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo say the miners died after heavy rains damaged a makeshift bridge at the Molondo mining site in Lualaba province. At least 40 people have been reported dead, but an association of artisanal miners says the death toll has risen to 100. They accuse Congolese soldiers of firing at the miners who were digging in a prohibited area. The miners are reported to have fled the gunshots across the makeshift bridge, which collapsed under their weight. Deadly accidents are common among small-scale miners in the DRC. Most of them work with rudimentary tools without protective gear.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Get hurt in a game? We tough it out. Feel exhausted? We push on. Feeling down? We pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. But there are times when bootstraps aren't enough. When stress gets to us and we need to talk to someone about what we're really going through. So we're going to reach out. Because sometimes mental health is not a one-person job. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Gentlemen, it's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, filling in for Young Jock. Do you think the fans deserve a refund considering how the Boys Mind tour ended abruptly?
Not really. As long as the headliner performed, they cannot get their money back.
Those ladies knew what they was getting into. You can't come out there on no tour with no 5-piece. So don't come out there with a little few clothes on and do the show because I'm coming to see the boy. It's mine. I'm waiting. Don't have me waiting. And then 2 menopause is spread. Them ladies probably had menopause.
Sports Rap Network brings to you Bullseye, presented by Dabo. Because we all we got. Dabo hit the bullseye every time it's a go. Real talk. You don't get this on national shows. He hit the target every time he aiming. He got the bullseye flaming. He take you to the Motor City. Ain't you glad you came in? The culture thing where sports meet swagger. Dabo got the insider breakdowns. It don't matter because he cut through the chapter. His Detroit attitude is shattered. Any doubt you got about him, you know the man the baddest. Unapologetic intelligence that is raw. Sports talk phenomena, brother, you never saw. On the Sports Rap Network, you know that he going far. Because the Sports Rap Network, pass the mic to Dabo and just let him work. Ask about any team in the league and he'll put in work. If you didn't know better, ask so you will know it first. The Sports Rap Network is coming, it's getting hot. No running, cause I'm so knock, I'm done and we all we got.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dabo Presents Detroit Bullseye Sports here on 107.5 HD2 WGPR. You can catch us on the Sports Rap app, sportsrapnet.com. I'm Jack Barthel. I'm here with my co-host, Reggie Walker. Reggie, we are going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the University of Michigan Wolverines. The Northwestern 24-22 at the friendly confines of Wrigley Field on Saturday after a 31-yard Dominic Zavada field goal. Michigan had almost 500 yards of total offense, but 5 turnovers, 3 fumbles, and 2 interceptions thrown by true freshman Bryce Underwood led to quite a bit of consternation in game threads, group chats, conversations everywhere. But Michigan was able to stop shooting themselves in the foot long enough to kick that field goal and escape Chicago with the win. Reggie, what do you think? Did that game give you pause? Did it disgust you? Did it show you Sharon Moore should be fired? What do you take away from that game?
This is the game that epitomizes what you were going to go through with a freshman quarterback. And so one of the things that we were briefly talking about before we went on air, Jack, was I didn't do it, but I was going to text you guys to let you know if Michigan won this game, because they shouldn't have won it, but they did, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they won this game, I think they've got a real opportunity to beat Ohio State. These boys had to have a little confidence in themselves that, you know what, they could come back after making turnovers. You got to allow Moore, you've got to allow Underwood to make these mistakes that a freshman quarterback would do in order for him to be able to grow. He's got to have teachable moments. That first half, minus, I think, a fumble, was the best half of football he's played. He started out the game 8 for 9, 9 for 10, if I'm not mistaken, as far as completions are concerned. And there were some real difficult throws that he made in that first half. Michigan's offensive line finally starting to gel with 3 redshirt freshmen starting on that offensive line. This team's going to be tough for the next 2 to 3 years, guys. They are going to be incredibly tough. You know what? You finally have the emergence of what a wide receiver should be. They're saying, we haven't seen the output that Marsh gave us on Saturday since Roundtree. Look, there are so many promising things on this Michigan team. You know what? All I would ask is for the U of M faithful to understand that it's not supposed to materialize this year. You ain't Ohio State. And I hate to tell Michigan fans, you ain't never been Ohio State. But you are a really, really good elite program. Well, you're not really quite
They could be.
Elite program. They most certainly could be, but I think what it would take, Jack, in order for Michigan to be an elite program, they're going to have to be, over these next 2 to 3 years, they're going to have to be in that top 5, top 6 consideration, right?
Yeah.
They're going to have to get themselves a bye in the current playoff system that we have, that first round. You know, there's no question that Michigan is an elite program on paper.
Right.
And history would give them that. But to me, the elite program of this conference is no doubt, it's Ohio State. Because Michigan has never lived with the pressure of, you know what, you're supposed to win a national championship every year. SEC teams have, Alabama has, LSU at times has, Texas, who is more akin to what we are than anything has, USC's have. But no, Michigan, the reality of it is no. Michigan is happy to do well, and you know what? Hey, my son scored 1250 on SAT, so all is good.
There you go. Big Ten championship or bust.
Yep, there you go. But, you know, all in all, Jack, I was really, really happy with the performance I saw. Michigan has a lot of room for improvement. But you know what? There's so many factors and segments of this game that when you break them down, you know, the kick by our All-American kicker, right?
Yeah.
After missing 2 field goals.
That's right.
To cap it at the very end. Great fucking... Almost said it, but I didn't. Great ball game by the Michigan faithful.
Yeah, I think that was, like you said, it was a win that team desperately needed to have. It was a sloppy win. It was a win in which they did everything they could to lose the game, but instead were able to dig deep and pull it out at the end. I think it was big for Zavada, like you say, to be able to come back and hit that field goal after missing the 2. I think it's really hilarious that Gus kept calling him an All-American when he is clearly not going to be an All-American this season.
Well, precedent, you know, he was an All-American last year, so until the new All-American teams come out, you could call him an
And that was a huge kick, and it was big for the program. And I agree. I think that, like you said when we were talking off air, I think that we needed to see Bryce throw some interceptions, right? We needed to see him try some throws and realize what he could and could not get away with at this level compared to what he was doing in high school. And it's good to see your true freshman quarterback experiment and get better as games and as seasons go along. I think that he was measured in his approach. You know, there was the shot of him with his head on Sharon's shoulder, and then you have to realize this is still essentially a kid that we're dealing with, and he may be, physically large, and he may have a salary that's been publicly reported on, and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, these are just kids,
Man
and
children.
exactly, man children, and he had not a phenomenal game, but a good game in the context of what he was able to do. And yeah, I mean, they have 500 yards of total offense and 5 turnovers. I mean, most teams don't win those games, and especially teams with true freshman quarterbacks don't win those games.
Well,
And hats off to Wink. Wink had a heck of a game as a defensive coordinator. Chip Lindsey was scheming guys open. It is kind of, there are kind of limited concepts being thrown out there, but I mean, they're
as far as the
working.
RPO,
Yeah,
RPO offense.
exactly. But I mean, they're working. Guys are running open. There's just some drops in. I have to say it before we move forward. I love Samaj Morgan for everything he does in the community, and what he does for the team. As far as getting them hyped up to play the game. He can't see the field anymore this season. Maybe it's a confidence thing. And no, he's not going to regain his confidence by sitting on the bench, but I don't care. I'm sorry. It's over. It's got to be over. It sounds like he's officially lost the punt returner's job. I don't love the fact that Andrew Marsh is the winner there. I don't love having starters return kicks, but yeah, it's got to be over. I'm sorry.
Well, here's the other thing that stands out that we got to mention. That offensive line in Marshall had an outstanding game, correct?
Yes.
And even when Marshall went out hurt, we lost nothing in the ground game.
That's right.
Boy, and you know what? I mean, understanding that the real beauty of football lies in the trenches. I mean, you know what? It ain't glamorous. You know what? You don't get the girls, but you know what? Without those big nasties, nothing happens. His offensive line, guys, is going to be really, really good for the next 2 to 3 years. And like I said before, Ron Moore, he ain't much to listen to, man. You know what? He doesn't get you excited. He's not going to remind you, for those of us who grew up with Bo Schembechler or those types. Man, you know what? He recruits kids that seem to respect him, seem to like him, and most importantly, they play for him. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and that O-line, I mean, they're missing what a lot would consider one of their biggest bullets in the chamber, with Andrew Babalola tearing his ACL in practice over the course of the season. He was pushing Evan Link to start at the beginning of the season, so it conceivably could have been him next man up when he went down. But I think that I think that this team is poised for great things in the future. But I mean, at the same time, just previewing just a tiny bit next week for Maryland, I'm not sure that this team can't beat Ohio State. It seems like Ohio State is walking wounded a little bit. There are rumors about that Carnell Tate may be done for the season. Jeremiah Smith was pictured walking very gingerly at the end of the game on Saturday. So there is a path. I mean, if Michigan won last year, at this point, you can always say there's a path, right? With the team that they were putting out there, the offense they were putting out there especially.
But the other part you're dealing with, too, is you are dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-olds who have, what seems to be like for old guys like me, not necessarily you, Jack, ridiculous healing rates, right?
True.
So
Very true.
2 weeks, the guy could be, today he could be a cripple. In 2 weeks, he's perfectly fine, right?
That's right.
So
right.
It'll be interesting. Looking at that Ohio State game,
Well,
I think Michigan is.
Toradol works for college kids too.
You're making me laugh. Don't do
I'm
it.
sorry, especially that they're getting paid now too. You can give them a Toradol shot.
No, you got to take them shots, man. Go see the good doctor, man. He's going to give you something and he'll give you a lollipop afterwards.
Well, let's stay away from that. Both of those institutions.
Freudian slip, guys. Freudian slip.
Exactly.
I like Michigan's chances just like you do against Ohio State. They are playing at U of M. You know what? They're playing it on Thanksgiving weekend, which, that Michigan crowd is going to be jacked. This is our Super Bowl. This is our national championship. This year, you know what? I really think Michigan fans think they're going to be able to win this ball game. Not that there's going to be pressure on them, but I think they're secretly, fans like myself, fans like you think, you know what? Michigan may have a chance. Because the one thing about Underwood and the athlete that he is, that kid is capable of throwing up 300 yards, 300 yarders on the ground on a day like that.
Most definitely can happen. And don't let Michigan get off to a touchdown first. If Michigan scores first in that game, Michigan is going to win that game.
All the pressure is on Ohio State in that game. They have everything to play for. Nobody expects Michigan to be playing for much of anything, let alone, playoff shot or national shot at national championship. So we've got to get ready and pay some bills and get ready for our next segment. But just want to give you that little takeaway there. There's always a chance. But this has been Dabo Presents Detroit Bullseye Sports here on 107.5 HD2 WGBR Sports Rap Network. Catch us on the Sports Rap app, and we will be right back.
You're listening to Bullseye Sports presented by Dabo on Sports Rap Network. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, filling in for Young Jock. Do you think the fans deserve a refund considering how the Boys Mind tour ended abruptly?
Not really. As long as the headliner performed, cannot get their money back.
Those ladies knew what they was getting into. You can't come out there on no tour with no 5-piece. So don't come out there with a little few clothes on and do the show because I'm coming to see the boy. It's mine. I'm waiting. Don't have me waiting. And then 2 menopause is spread. Them ladies probably is menopause.
What you gonna do? Keep it live. We're gonna have a good morning.
Keep it live right here.
You must.
Ding, ding, boys and girls. Class is in session. Don't be late. This is your boy, Professor G, Mark Gray. Take a seat and tune in Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Sports Rap Network. It's OG Sports Talk, taking you back to days of good conversation in the barbershop. So remember, it's me, Professor G, and OG Sports Talk, weeknight at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sports Rap Network.
We all we got.
Tina, the Tina Turner musical. The mega hit comes direct from Broadway. See her triumphant story and be ecstatically blown away. Everybody everywhere should come see Rave's New York Magazine. The New York Times cheers. I've rarely heard an audience with this mighty a roar. Coming to the Fisher Theater November 21st through 23rd. Get tickets at BroadwayandDetroit.com.
Just got bigger and funnier because we just had a DC Young Fly.
Ladies, when your lace front is peeling, get a new one.
Theater starring LaVelle Crawford.
That's back, folks. We don't use our sick days to be sick.
I got 10 sick days and they for Jamaica. And it's all hosted by Earthquake. It's just like having cable with just one channel. Same, come on every day. Let's look through fall.
Shout out to all the women that's 2 weeks pregnant and don't know it. Congratulations for your last drink tonight. Turn up.
With Detroit's own Tony Roberts. Look out for my new album coming out called You Need Your Beat. We bought a pregnancy test from the dollar store. We need your beat. And the gangster of comedy. Home. Nobody in here likes a supervisor. And if you are a supervisor, I'm telling you, nobody can stand your... Saturday, December 6th in the Fox Theater. Tickets on sale at the box office at Ticketmaster.com.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
This ain't Side Piece Radio. This is Sports Rap Network. We go everywhere you go. Download the Sports Rap mobile app to listen 24/7. We all we got.
We're glad you stayed. Now back to the home team. Bullseye Sports presented by Dabo on the Sports Rap.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dabo Presents Detroit Bullseye Sports here on 107.5 HD2 WGPR, the Sports Rap Network. You can catch us on the Sports Rap app. You can catch us on sportsrapnet.com. And of course, HD2 107.5. Jack Barthel back here with Rich Walker. We were talking Michigan college football. We're going to shift a little bit into probably the most surprising team.
Wait, hold on, Jack. And I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
We got to mention this sign there because
And we talked about it briefly as we were doing some show prep earlier. We got to talk about James Franklin taking that Vitek job.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time, Red. It was a little muffled for me.
Yeah, I talked about.
Oh yes, yeah. I think that. Let me get some numbers for us officially. Virginia Tech has officially hired James Franklin to be its next head football coach. The school announced on Monday he will be formally introduced at a news conference on Wednesday. Franklin was originally owed a $49 million buyout, but as part of his deal with the Hokies, sources confirmed to ESPN, includes a $9 million settlement from the Nittany Lions. So he will get $9 million from Penn State to go away.
How much money did Penn State owe him?
Penn State owed him 49.
I would have been coaching next year.
That was subject to, he had a duty to mitigate clause. So he had to attempt to find work to offset that buyout as much as possible. I too would have been on television next year.
No.
But I think the structure of the buyout would not have led him to get a lump sum anyway. So this includes I'm assuming a lump sum of this $9 million. So it probably works out better in the long run. But he replaces his former defensive coordinator, Brent Pry, who was fired in September. Virginia Tech has been reported to be increasing their athletic spending by a significant amount.
As much as $250 million, yeah.
$229 million athletic budget was sanctioned over the next 4 years. Looks like they are putting quite a bit of it towards James Franklin as head coach. A lot of it will go to NIL and facility upgrades. Reggie, what are your thoughts on James Franklin joining the Hokies?
I say this with the disdain that you have for James Franklin. Jack, I think it was a good move. I really do. I think it was. Look, he comes from a DMV area, right?
Yeah.
Which is, you know what, quietly a hotbed of great college athletes. Virginia, Maryland area, Washington, D.C. is a hotbed of great athletes. And if he can kind of tie down that area and get the best of the best out of that area, you know what, for a program like that, get to the college, let's say in a 5-year period, get to a college playoff twice, he's magic. Everything a program like that can ask for. The one thing that you know is the man can recruit. He can his tail off. Obviously, his end game decision making is much to be desired. You can find that guy there who have no business being head coaches, right? But there are guys out there who can be a sounding board for him in those critical moments. And I think James Franklin has realized that's where I went wrong at Penn State. And Jack, I'm telling you, he's going to have a lot of success at Virginia Tech.
Well, for one, he already recruits that area well for Penn State, and now being able to, sell the fact that they're not as far from home, even though Blacksburg may be in the middle of nowhere, it's at least the middle of nowhere in Virginia as opposed to Pennsylvania for a lot of those regional kids, right? And I think that most of them don't necessarily have memories of Mike Vick anymore at this age, but they might have memories of Marcus Vick. They've got some memory of Frank B.
Really? Sounds like a perfect place if I'm a white guy.
Mm-hmm.
It don't sound like the perfect place he as a brother, though. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't nothing half so happy about it as far as I'm concerned, man.
Exactly what you mean. Yeah, and it's always been. I think of Penn State as the Texas A&M of the Big Ten.
What are they, the Rodney of college football?
They're the cult. They're the weird ones. I mean, Ohio State, they're jerks, but they've kind of earned it based on the success that they've had historically and Michigan. Everybody knows what Michigan fans are. Michigan State, I think everybody kind of understands what Michigan State fans are. They're cultish to an extent, but the guys out there in Happy Valley and the devotion that they have to that program and the weird people that run that program, it gives me Texas A&M cult vibes. Having said all of that. Yes, I have been very vocal in my thoughts on James Franklin. I don't think he's that good of an in-game coach, as we've stated, but yes, he can recruit his behind off. He is good at selling his own program. He's good at apparently trashing other programs. He just has this sense on how things work, but I have to take my hat off to him. I think this is a good job for him. I think that with a community and a school that are ready to reinvest, I think is awesome. And I think that he is a program builder. As long as he can keep dudes from, hazing each other and putting their hands on each other or young women, this time, third time's the
Yeah.
charm. I think that he'll have some success, but yeah, the first domino of the coaching carousel has fallen, and now I think we're going to see quite a bit more movement because everybody's going to want to get a jump on recruiting and jump on NIL and fundraising and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no question about it, especially as high school championships are winding down across the country. You know what? They want those college coaches in on them right now because what are we talking about? 3 weeks left in the season?
Yeah.
2 weeks left in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks left in the season. So
Big Ten season, yeah. The other leagues usually go a week past the Thanksgiving weekend, but yeah, it's basically over. A little bit of housekeeping news before we move on. A couple things relevant to Michigan. First, Justice Haynes is likely out for the rest of the regular season. He did have surgery on his foot. He is expected to miss the Maryland and Ohio State games. There has been the update on Jordan Marshall, who injured his shoulder in the Northwestern game. Shoulder injury. X-rays came back clean. He is day-to-day ahead of the Maryland game. Now, to be fair, Sharon Moore lies about injuries more than any coach I have ever seen. So, including Jim Harbaugh, who lied vociferously about injuries. So,
you want to know what? How much time will it take before college football is in bed like the pros when it comes to gambling, Chad?
I mean, they're in it right now, I would say.
Yeah, but you know what? They're not sponsoring anything right now, collegiate.
Oh, I mean, I think we're at most 2 or 3 years from the DraftKings Bowl or the FanDuel Bowl.
Because at that point, they're going to say, tell all these college coaches, you have to be forthright when it comes to accurate injury reports. I mean, because the industry, that industry is going to be the bread and butter of basically all professional sports, for which now I consider college football to be one of those, right?
Sure.
And basketball.
Sure.
And the one thing that the betting public will not stand for is information that needs to readily be known in order to be able to place an accurate bet.
Right.
So Sharon ain't going to be able to get away with that much longer.
And the other piece of college football news that affects Michigan and the Big Ten at large, the private equity deal that had been discussed by UC Investments has paused, quote unquote, the $2.4 billion Big Ten private equity deal due to the opposition of Michigan and USC. The excuse is everybody should be unified before this decision is made, which, duh, and this public bullying by Tony Petitti and the other schools to try and bully two of the biggest brands in college sports was short-sighted and dumb. If the schools had any backbone, they would throw Tony Petitti out and try to find a new commissioner. But
yeah, give us a little bit of background information on that as to what that whole thing is about.
Sure. So just in the couple minutes we've got left, essentially a private equity firm offered $2.5 billion for the Big Ten to spin off a new entity, which would be called Big Ten Enterprises, which would house all the media rights and sponsorship deals for the league itself. This doesn't make sense because the media rights have already been sold to the companies that actually air the games. So I'm not even really sure what they would even own. This $2.4 billion was supposed to be paid out on some sort of tiered system, with the programs all receiving a minimum of around $100 million. This deal has, a lot of the Big Ten schools are broke. They have made capital investments in facilities and salaries and are bleeding money and need investments, but you can't sell a product that you've already sold. And you can't sell a product that you don't own the rights to. In the case of Big Ten Network, which is partially owned by Fox and CBS. So it was dumb, and I'm not really sure why they thought this was something that was possible. In a bit of comedic and fitting irony, it is getting up on time for us to pay our own bills here. 107.5 HD2 WGPR, the Sports Rap Network. We can be found on the Sports Rap app. You can find that in both the iTunes and Google Play stores. We will be right back here for our final look at the week of sports here on 107.5 HD2. Davo presents Detroit Bullseye Sports. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Wardell, Walker, Barthwell, and our Cobra Commander, Mark Jones, on Bullseye Sports, presented by Dabo. Back after these commercial messages.
This is This Day in Sports History on your Sports Rap Network, WGPR 107.5 HD2 in Detroit. Let's take a soulful stroll back through the sports streets, where every November 17th reminds us of the legacy and resilience that keeps us pushing forward. On this day in 1968, the great Bill Russell, player-coach of the Boston Celtics, led his squad to a hard-fought victory over the Detroit Pistons right here in the Motor City. Russell wasn't just dominating the paint, he was making history as the NBA's first black head coach. Every time he stepped on the sidelines, Russell was breaking barriers and showing the world what leadership looks like both on and off the court. That legacy still echoes today, inspiring young athletes in Detroit and beyond who dream of running the show their own way. Fast forward to 1991, and November 17th brought us one of the NFL's most electrifying moments. Barry Sanders, Detroit's own, put on a show at the Silverdome with his signature stop-and-go moves. That day, Barry racked up over 150 rushing yards, reminding fans why he's one of the greatest to ever do it in the backfield. Sanders didn't just carry the ball, he carried hope for a city hungry for greatness, all while staying humble and letting his play do the talking. November 17th also marks a special moment in baseball history. In 1971, the Pittsburgh Pirates' Roberto Clemente was named the National League MVP. While Clemente wasn't born here, his legacy of breaking down barriers and lifting up his community resonates with Detroit's own story, a story of resilience, pride, and never backing down. So as we move through this Monday, remember every day athletes who look like us have been carving their names in the record books, knocking down doors, and paving the way for the next generation. We got in these sports streets, and that's more than enough to keep making history. This has been This Day in Sports History on the Sports Rap Network, WGPR 107.5 HD2 in Detroit. Stay tuned. More of that real sports conversation is coming up next.
You're listening to the Sports Rap Network on WGPR HD2, home of sports, old school rap, and the two live stews.
We all we got.
I'm Doug.
What up, y'all? I'm Ryan.
And the two live stews are back.
Same dogs, same shenanigans, no tongue biting or clinches.
Right. Just sports talk with a side of culture and a pinch of we shouldn't be saying.
Oh, come on, man. Check us out on sportsrapnetwork.com and in the mornings on 107.5 HD2 Detroit.
We all we got. $2 turkey chops at Club Celebrity. They got $2 turkey chops every Wednesday at Club Celebrity. $2, that's it. Just $2 for a juicy, perfectly seasoned turkey chop with the best zip sauce in the country. That's about that thing. Tangy, juicy, and finger-licking good, y'all. $2 turkey and pork chops every Wednesday at Club Celebrity. Pull up, grab a plate, and cure that craving for just $2. Visit CelebrityChops.com or search Celebrity Chops on Instagram for more information. $2 turkey chops at Club Celebrity.
Are you constantly in conversations that don't involve you? Can't stop scrolling other people's drama on Facebook? You might suffer from a chronic case of not minding your business.
Introducing Mind Your Business, the all-natural remedy for nosiness. One dose had me ignoring group chat beef and walking right past my neighbor's message breakup. Side effects include peace, privacy, and staying in your lane. Mind Your Business, now available in gummies, teas, and anti-strength spray.
Mind your business, because not everybody needs your little opinion.
The Sports Rap Network is going rogue. Who mixes sports, culture, and old school hip-hop? Keep it locked to WGPR 107.5 HD2 or download the iOS or Android mobile app.
We're glad you stayed. Now back to the home team. Bullseye Sports presented by Dabo on the Sports Rap.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on Dabo Presents Detroit Bullseye Sports, 107.5 HD2 WGPR, Sports Rap Network. You can catch us on the Sports Rap app. You can catch us on 107.5 HD. You can catch us on sportsrapnet.com. I'm your host, Jack Barthwell. Back here with Reggie Walker. Finish out the evening. We are going to talk a little NBA hodgepodge. There's a lot of things that have gone on in the league, are going on in the league. Most importantly, your first place in the East, Detroit Pistons, on a 9-game winning streak. Longest winning streak in the league right now. I believe longest winning streak of the season for any team this year. Winners of 9 out of the last 10, obviously. But most importantly, for local fans, Cade Cunningham signed a new Nike deal, 6-year deal, but most importantly is going to get a signature shoe. He is one of 6 players now, 6 active players with a signature shoe. Unfortunately, Paul George is not one. Paul George did have one of the best shoes out, to be fair, so shout out PG. But Cade obviously is showing that he is one of the top players in the league, and now Nike is showing that they also believe in him and what he is doing, and showing that he's going to be one of the faces of the league. I think we are going to get more of a face of the league by committee than a true super duper star that is carrying the entire league like we've had in the past.
But you know what, though, Jack? I think that's just simply a lack of, there's nobody who has grabbed the attention of NBA fans. You know, that guy would have been John Morant if he had been able to keep his nose clean, right? John's got personality. Obviously, his physical skill set is second to none. It's the off the court things did him in. You know, when you look at Magic was a special guy. You know, Iverson was a special guy. LeBron never caught the attention of NBA fans, right? Who can be 6'8", 255 pounds with, 3.9 percentage body fat on him? Not a lot of people. Yeah, it'll be by a, committee as far as the face of the league, but that's only because they haven't found that guy yet. Look, that guy could still playing down in Dallas if his game emerges.
Sure. And I mean, there's always Ant, but Ant clearly has no desire to be the face of the league. For one, he cannot stop impregnating video girls. But
you can't. Go ahead, Jack.
No, I'm just gonna say I think that Tatum is injured. Ja, not only does he have his issues, the athleticism seems to be waning just a tiny bit. Those guys that dunk all the time, they tend to break down a bit quicker. He hasn't been attacking the rim with the same ferocity. You've got Jaylen Brown has his own issue. We're not even sure if he's the best player on his own team. LaMelo is just marches to the beat of his own drum. So there's a lot of, I think there is just a lack of desire to take that mantle by the young superstars of the NBA. I think Cade might have the best chance quietly as he may go about doing it. With the way that the Pistons are playing, the way that he goes about his business, the way that the Pistons go about their business, he might turn into, this team might turn into another, going to work, bad boy style team aspect, but it might have more of an upfront leader this time than either of those other 2 iterations. This is Grant Hill like.
Yeah, but Bad Boys was definitely an Isaiah Thomas-led team. No question. I mean, that team was built in his image, right?
True.
The only thing that's, from a marketing perspective, who knows what Cade's personality is? I think that's going to be based upon those marketing guys at Nike and what they end up creating for Cade. Because we don't know who Cade is, right? You know what? You get a couple of news hits from him on the sports every now and then, right? Is he a vocal guy? Is he a funny guy? I have no idea what he is at this point in time.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm depending upon traditional media too much also.
Sure. I think that's part of it. I think in some of the stuff I've seen from, the Pistons TikTok and some of the social media stuff they've put out, he is, pretty funny, and he, is definitely a guy that is well liked by his teammates, gets along with the guys. It seems like they all have a good relationship where they're joking and laughing, and there don't seem to be too many egos. We see the fact that they will literally fight for each other. We see it in the fact that they don't back down from a challenge from any team. But yeah, I do think that we, as the general public, are kind of lacking knowledge of how Cade moves. And I hope this deal allows us to gain some of that perspective. Nike has always been amazing at commercials and getting us to learn a lot about the players that they put forward. I think about the incredible work they did on that Asia Wilson campaign. I think about the work they've done, obviously, throughout LeBron and Kobe's career. But even the work they were doing with Kyrie, the stuff they were doing with Paul George, you didn't necessarily learn as much about PG, but he was put out a good shoe. Giannis had a great commercial or two. Has had some great success with shoes. This is our time. I think this is Cade's time to really take that next step into the consciousness of America, where I think he's basically at the point where Grant was about to be before the injury struck. The shoe deal from Fila. If he hadn't left for Orlando, things may have been wildly different. But yeah, man, Cade is on that superstar track, and the Pistons are right there along with him as winners. And
Well, let me ask you, Jack, let me ask you a media watch question. Have you gotten used to the NBC telecast of the NBA thus far, Tuesday nights?
I wouldn't say used to yet, but I really enjoy it. I think I'm not used to it because it's so good.
When you say so good, tell me what you mean.
So I like the fact that, one, it just looks and sounds like my childhood. But what I really appreciate, I'm not sure it's the Tuesday that I appreciate the most, but the Amazon Prime desk and the show that they have, the fact that they break down and talk about X's and O's, and they talk about things that they really know because most of those guys have played with guys. Yeah, and the one with Dirk and Steve Nash, and I think that is exactly what we need. I think that inside, with Kenny and Shaq and Chuck, I think it's great and it serves its purpose, and they're hilarious and they're legends, but we don't learn a whole lot about the game from them. And I think that what NBC and Amazon have leaned into is teaching the game and teaching us about these players and about these athletes. So I think that hearing, Tarico do the games, I think it is great because he's really good at doing basketball. I think that hearing the Eagle family do basketball is great because they're great at basketball. I think the broadcast with Austin Rivers and Robbie Hubble in the huddles is going to pay dividends down the road. I just think they really care about the game of basketball, and TNT definitely did that as well. And I think that anything that can give ESPN a kick in the ass and say, hey, man, we got to do like real basketball analysis and not all this drama and, where's LeBron going and blah, 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 blah. Anything that brings us into higher level basketball discourse, I'm all for it.
Well, I will say this. Anytime terrestrial media takes on a given sport, whether it's the NBA or the NFL, they seem to elevate it to a different level than those quote-unquote cable stations. So, for example, when I'm watching NFL football right now, I find the Amazon telecasts to be somewhat amateurish. While I like most of those people on there, it still kind of lacks it's not quite the Fox or the NBC or the CBS telecast.
Yeah, the games suck and they take it out on us. Because Al, you can tell Al don't want to be there most of the night. Al Michaels don't want to be there most nights.
No, Al Michaels, he seems like he's literally collecting a paycheck.
He's genuinely checked out.
Yep. There's no question about it. And see, for my, and not that I'm prejudicial to our high school, but I think Gus Johnson is one of the best sports announcers out there. And the reason why, he makes mundane, boring events seem exciting.
Exactly.
And you know what? What more can you ask of a sportscaster but to do that? I love Gus when he was doing the NFL. I thought he did a great job.
Same. He's entertaining. It's entertainment, right? At the end of the day, yeah, it's we take it really seriously, and people spend and gamble a lot of money on these games. And, it costs a lot of money to take your family to see these guys beat themselves up for 3 hours. But at the end of the day, it's a game and it's entertainment, and you want somebody to shepherd you through that narrative that seems like they are actually enjoying what they're watching and wants to be there. Even when I don't go back super far, but I go back to Madden and Summerall. It sounded like Summerall had other stuff he wanted to do that day. But John Madden,
go out and get a drink. That's what he wanted.
Yeah, well, he definitely wanted to do that. But John Madden was having so much fun that even Pat had to chuckle and laugh, and we would all be sitting there having a great time. And unfortunately, we have come to the end of the fastest 2 hours in radio. We are having fun 3 times a week with you, Detroit, and across the nation. So we appreciate you having us. Reggie Walker, say goodnight to the people.
I've been out, ladies and gentlemen, down and out, with a little sick, but guess what? I'm coming back, and you know where I'll be, don't you? Spin the records, girl. I'm going to be there.
Well, we thank you, Reggie. We're glad to have you back. Glad you're feeling better. Shout out to the professor, Jimmy Wardell. Glad you're feeling better.
Yes, sir.
And welcome back, Mark Jones. We will see you guys on Wednesday here on Dabo Presents Detroit Bullseye Sports, 107.5 HD2 WGPR. Good night.
You're listening to Wardell, Walker, Barthwell, and our Cobra Commander, Mark Jones, on Bullseye Sports, presented by Dabo. Back after these commercial messages.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, do you want your parents to hear?